The WNBA just got slammed with the reality check nobody wanted, but everyone feared. And at the center of it all is Caitlin Clark. The numbers are in free fall, and the league is spiraling. Ratings are plummeting faster than a clumsy dunk contest. Ticket sales are evaporating, and the supposed growth era is starting to look like nothing more than an overhyped illusion. The only franchise keeping things afloat was Indiana, and now that anchor has been ripped away, leaving the rest of the league's hopes sinking like a ship taking on water. It all unraveled with one announcement. Caitlin Clark's season-ending injury has flipped the league's historic rise narrative into a flimsy marketing pitch no one's buying anymore. The shine is gone, the buzz has flatlined, and executives aren't just nervous, they're panicked. This isn't concern, it's sheer desperation, spreading through boardrooms and front offices like wildfire. The WNBA built everything on one star, and now they're staring straight into their worst nightmare. The league's golden ticket, the player who made every arena, every broadcast, and every highlight matter, is officially done for the year. After weeks of vague updates, dodged questions, and whispers about timelines, Caitlin Clark confirmed it. "I will not be returning this season." Just one sentence, but it detonated like a bomb. The Fever can drop the illusion of a miraculous comeback. There's no schedule, no return, no safety net, just a glaring absence where the league's brightest star once stood. And the ripple effects, they're massive, and they're not stopping with Indiana. This panic is engulfing the entire league. Nor for the WNBA is being largely ignored by the media. Largely ignored by sports media. Not considered a real professional league, to the point where people didn't even know it existed until CC22. That's just a fact. You can't believe how many times I have people come in the chat and say, "I didn't even know that there was a professional women's basketball league until Kill." Yeah, it's the fact. Let's break down the numbers because the data doesn't lie. When Clark was on the floor, Indiana's games averaged an astonishing 1.26 million viewers. That's the kind of attention most leagues dream about. But the moment she went down on July 15th with that groin injury, ratings nosedived to 400,000 per broadcast. That's a devastating 70% collapse. And keep in mind, those were numbers fans still tolerated under the hope she might return. Now that she's officially done for the season, that cliff just turned into a canyon. This isn't a dip, it's an abyss. The WNBA isn't just hurting, it's staring into a void it can't climb out of. Fever and Clark saying that she tried to get back on the floor. It appears that she just ran out of time, not able to get enough confidence back in her body as the season wraps up and the playoffs are likely about to begin for Indiana. I mean, it's a gut punch that basically encompasses an entire season of them. The Fever have lost so many players to injury, but obviously none bigger than Clark. And there was such a wait for this second season after her magnificent rookie season. Without Caitlin Clark, the WNBA looks hollow. It doesn't feel like a professional league anymore. It feels like a struggling support group, desperately trying to convince fans they matter. The league had a golden opportunity to prove it could hold interest while she was sidelined, but the reality was brutal. NBA TV ratings without Clark plummeted another 40%. The contrast is staggering, almost laughable. This isn't just one superstar sitting out. It's the entire foundation of the WNBA being exposed as a house of cards. This has been a huge disaster as far as public perception for the WNBA. An entirely new group of people started tuning in to this league for one player and one player only. In fact, so many new people tune into this league, the viewership for the Caitlin Clark games largely surpassed anything else going on in the WNBA. I would argue that the amount of Caitlin Clark fans are at least 3x. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert can parade around calling her the most popular athlete in America, but that crown comes with enormous baggage. When your entire sports relevance lives and dies by one player's health, every injury becomes an existential threat. Decades of effort to build a stable product just evaporated. Clark's arrival was the league's ticket to relevance. And now, imagine the playoffs, imagine the finals, without her. Those broadcasts are going to look like scrimmages, not marquee events. The Fever themselves are in freefall, sitting in 7th place. Their playoff future is already murky, and without Clark, they're not sniffing the finals. This was supposed to be a championship-caliber team, driven by her playmaking and energy. Now, they're a skeleton crew, stripped of their leader, their floor general, and the marketing juggernaut that made them must-watch television. Without Clark, they're just another middle-of-the-pack team, and nobody is tuning in for that. The financial side of this is even more jaw-dropping. Sports economist Ryan Brewer projected Clark's impact to hit $1 billion in a single season. And that wasn't just Fever revenue. That included merchandising, TV contracts, tourism, and the cultural wave she brought with her. Her brand extended far beyond basketball. She was a global phenomenon, selling jerseys faster than Nike could produce them, and packing NBA-sized arenas night after night. Compare that to the rest of the league, where players are still trying to turn Instagram likes into sponsorships. The gulf between Caitlin Clark and everyone else isn't just about talent. It's about cultural gravity. She's not just part of the WNBA economy, she is the WNBA economy. She knows just how much she means to everybody that buys those tickets. I mean, I would say at least like 92, maybe not 95, but like 90% of the people in arenas were there to see Caitlin Clark, which of course they became fans of the Fever afterwards, but you know, Caitlin Clark is the draw. And then here's this one where she's actually in her street clothes, and yeah, these are, you know, pretty heartfelt photos, her in the huddle with her teammates. But I gotta say, this was quite a year. I mean, there came a certain point where people, including myself, were just like, what is actually going on? And now the panic is palpable. Think about it. Players spent the 2024 season targeting Clark, throwing elbows, flagrant fouls, and trash talk like it was their full-time job. They spent more energy trying to knock her down than building themselves up. And now, they're staring into half-empty arenas, wondering why the spotlight doesn't follow them. The petty jealousy is about to be exposed for what it really is, a waste. Because Clark, the one they tried to bully out of the game, is gone. And with her goes the league's relevance. Here's the bitter truth. The WNBA built its future on Clark's shoulders and then refused to protect her. She endured more physical abuse than anyone else in the league. 17% of all flagrant fouls this season were committed against her. That's not coincidence, that's a pattern. And the referees, under Engelbert's watch, let it slide. The result? The league's only true megastar is now on the shelf, and the WNBA is stuck holding the bill. Empty seats, cratering TV numbers, and sponsors quietly wondering if they just bought stock in a sinking ship. Let's cut through the noise and get brutally real about what unfolded during Clark's absence. The league tried to spin up replacement narratives, manufactured rivalries, forced drama, but fans weren't buying it. The Angel Reese rivalry games without Clark, empty seats, and deflated hype. Chicago Sky contests that were supposed to ride Clark's coattails barely drew 6,000 people. Numbers closer to a sleepy high school gym than a professional sports league. And keep this in mind, the Sky's own arena holds just under 10,000. They couldn't even fill their own house in one of the biggest markets in the country. The illusion shattered completely before that June matchup when news broke Clark wouldn't be suiting up. Within 48 hours, resale ticket prices collapsed from $86 down to a measly $25. That's not a market correction. That's a collapse. The desperation was visible everywhere. Franchises gambled their schedules on Clark, moving games to larger venues just to accommodate the demand she created. But when she went down, they were stuck. Take Washington as Exhibit A. The Mystics shifted a game to Baltimore to handle the expected Clark-fueled turnout. When she couldn't play, ticket prices nosedived from $41 to $1. That's not a typo. A single dollar could get you in the door. That's not demand. That's humiliation. It's also proof of a hard truth. When the WNBA puts all its eggs in one superstar basket and then refuses to protect her from reckless officiating, they're left scrambling when it inevitably breaks. And here's where the knife twists even deeper. Clark's season-ending announcement hit right at the most critical point in the calendar, playoff positioning. With her, the Fever were championship contenders. Without her, they're a shell of themselves, clawing just to survive the first round. But how do you contend when your best player, your offensive engine, and the one person filling arenas coast to coast is done for the year. You don't. The Fever's fight is now just damage control, and for the league, that's a nightmare. The psychological fallout is worse than the physical. Fans who built travel plans, bought expensive tickets months in advance, and made Clark their reason to finally tune into the WNBA are tapping out. The line they're echoing across social media is exactly what Engelbert and company feared. If she's out, I'm out. That's devastating. The casual fans, millions of them, who arrived because of her college heroics, gone. The corporate sponsors who signed checks expecting her to be front and center, rethinking those investments. The TV networks that stack schedules around her, they're scrambling for replacement content, knowing full well that no amount of Liberty versus Lynx advertising is going to bring Clark-level eyeballs. And that's the nightmare scenario nobody at League HQ wants to say out loud. The WNBA finals without Caitlin Clark could be a total disaster. Networks that were counting on record-breaking playoff numbers are now preparing for ratings craters. Because fans weren't tuning in for who wins the championship. They were tuning in for who can beat Caitlin Clark. Without her, the drama is gone. The casual fans' reason to care has evaporated. The ripple effect here is massive. ESPN and ABC, who already watched their ratings plummet by 55% during Clark's first absence, now face the prospect of an entire playoff stretch without her. That's not a dip, it's a black hole. These networks built coverage around her, leaned on her, and milked her for headlines. Now they're staring at a postseason that risks irrelevance. And here's the kicker. Clark doesn't need them nearly as much as they need her. That's the balance of power they never saw coming. This has been a full circle moment for the WNBA. With all the chatter of Kathy Engelbert saying, oh, if one player gets injured, one player will, you have it. That one player got injured. And now you have it. There's no conversation around the league. No positive, no negative, no conversation at all. The only media talking about the WNBA are the content creators, are the YouTubers, are people with podcasts, people with their own shows, etc., etc. Well, you go on to ESPN, nobody's talking about the W. You go on to Fox Sports, nobody's talking about the W. The WNBA has managed to turn off a fan base that would have elevated this league. But let's take a second to appreciate the brilliance of Clark's timing. She could have dragged this out, kept dangling hope that maybe she'd return for a miracle playoff push. That would have kept fans invested and the league pretending to breathe. But instead, she ripped off the Band-Aid with surgical precision. One announcement, one line, and the dream is over. It was the death blow delivered at the exact moment the league least expected it. And honestly, it makes her look like a queen. While Engelbert and jealous rivals wasted energy targeting her, Clark flipped the script and exposed their fragility without lifting a finger. The WNBA spent months pushing this narrative that they were bigger than any one player. Clark's announcement obliterated that lie. Without her, the league collapses right back to what it was before she arrived. A niche product with a loyal but small fan base, struggling to fill 10,000-seat arenas and fighting for ratings that barely register on a network's radar. That's not evolution. That's regression. Clark's absence isn't just bad for Indiana. It's an existential crisis for the entire WNBA. Because the truth is out, she wasn't just their biggest star, she was the whole show. And here's the cruelest irony. This didn't have to happen. It was preventable. If Engelbert and the referees had done their jobs, if they had prioritized protecting Clark instead of letting her be hacked and hammered night after night, this moment might never have arrived. But they didn't. They let her become a punching bag for jealous opponents, let flagrant fouls go unchecked, and sacrifice long-term stability for short-term ticket sales. Now they've lost the very investment they built their empire on. It's a case study in how to destroy your own golden goose. I've got a couple of things. I've got my dude Jason Whitlock saying he's done. He's out. We've got Colin Cowherd saying, you know what? Guess what I didn't talk about on my show this year? The WNBA. Guess why? He just come out and said it yesterday. Because Caitlin Clark was not playing. That's why. He said, I led my show, my biggest, largest national sports radio show in the country. I led my show with Caitlin Clark 6 times last year. Fans see it. They're shrugging and walking away. Sponsors see it. They're quietly pulling back. Networks see it. They're bracing for playoff broadcast to tank. And league executives for the first time are staring at the truth everyone else already knew. Caitlin Clark wasn't just the star of the WNBA. She was the product. Without her, there's nothing left to sell. This postseason won't feel historic or groundbreaking. It'll feel hollow, empty, like the heart's been ripped out of the game. And the most savage part, Clark gets to sit back, recover, and watch it all unravel. By stepping away, she delivered the harshest indictment possible of a league that failed to protect her. She's not just the victim of poor officiating. She's the reminder that the WNBA is only as strong as the shoulders it puts all its weight on. And now, those shoulders are gone for the year. The panic is real. The collapse is happening. And the league is left scrambling to figure out how to sell a postseason nobody asked for. The WNBA is about to learn the hardest truth in sports. When you build an empire around one star, you protect that star at all costs. Engelbert and her referees failed on both counts. And now, they're staring at a product that's looking emptier by the day, with no Caitlin Clark to save them.